your lecture, your seminar, it was very obvious that, you provided such an illuminating history about the evolution of the integration of the continent. And I want you to take your time and walk us through I'm asking this question because now, as we all know, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area has become a major policy for the continent, which we all agree is the best way to go. It is almost like concretizing the ideals of our independent forefathers, which is now becoming almost like a reality. But most of us, most Africans, especially the younger generation, are not very conversant with how it all started. Could you please walk us through the genesis of this whole, because for many people, they think integration started just with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which we are talking about now. And from your lecture, it was obvious that you were there, you've seen it, and you have actually participated to the extent that even setting up the secretariat in Ghana, you were very instrumental in these things. Would you walk us through the genesis of this whole integration of Africa? And by the time we are finishing this program, my last question to you would be, is Africa indeed integrating or disintegrating? We'll come to that. But walk us through the genesis of this whole process.
Well, Emmanuel, thanks for the question again. As I said, in 1957, March 6, Ghana gained its independence. There was a lot of jubilation, a lot of celebration. And Nkrumah stood on the podium around where he's been laid to rest in Ghana. And he said, the independence of Ghana, it is meaningless unless it's linked to the total liberation of the continent. Because at the time Ghana gained its independence, most of African countries were under oppression. And he felt that the black man or the African was capable of taking care of its own affairs. It will fail, it will make some wrongs, but it's capable to learn from its mistakes in order to build. So therefore, Africa needed that. Now, around the same time, some countries, 3 years after 57, some countries got their independence. And so by 63, about 33 countries had gained their independence. Now, however, there were two factions. Kwame Nkrumah had the spirit of Pan-Africanism because he was there in 1945 when the Manchester meeting took place on all African Congress. And then in 1958, he organized the African People's Congress in Accra. And it's all towards Pan-Africanism. But they had come out with two blocks. One was the Casablanca bloc, which wanted independence now, quicker. And there was the Monrovia bloc. And the Monrovia bloc wanted a gradualist approach and an independence within the boundaries of their boundaries. But the traditional boundaries. But Kwame Nkrumah's idea, the Casablanca bloc, wanted to erase the borders, what existed before a group of people sat in Berlin and decided that, and partitioned Africa, and said, this is Ghana, this is Burkina Faso, this is Southern Africa, this is this. But the question we have to understand, by the way, this country where we are beaming this interview was never colonized. Ethiopia was never colonized. And therefore, Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie, was then the sort of head of state. A number of African countries drew their inspiration from this country. And the young people here don't even know that. The contribution of Ethiopia to the liberation. Nelson Mandela was here. Was here.
Interesting.
Right? And you have a situation where a number of Africans, including those who later became presidents of their country, going to University of Addis Ababa. Nobody tells that story. Right? Nobody tells that story. So there were these two blocks, the Casablanca bloc, the Moravian bloc. So Emperor Haile Selassie had been invited by the Moravian bloc for a meeting. I don't know whether it was in Moravia or I don't know exactly. But the emperor felt strongly that he shouldn't go, but rather he should find a way to bring these two factions together. So he had a very astute foreign minister called Ketema Yifru. Okay? And I wish the Ethiopians would know. And he was doing shuttle diplomacy to capitals to try and see how we can bring these people. And Nkrumah was an ally, a very good friend of Haile Selassie. Very good friend, like a brother. And then you have Gamal Nasser of Egypt, a very good brother. You have Jomo Kenyatta, a very good brother. And all these people were there. And I always say that I wish I lived at that time. You know, and what do you call it? Haile Selassie and the truest minister was able to bring these people together. The 33 countries that were independent, plus those who were waging their struggle. To Addis Ababa. They stayed at the Gion Hotel.
All of them?
All of them were at the Gion Hotel because there was a passage from the Gion Hotel to go to the palace where Haile Selassie was. But the meeting itself was at the ECA. There's a place where it's called the Africa Hall, which is now being renovated to bring it back to form. Now, you know the flag of Ethiopia, right? You know the flag of Ethiopia. Green, yellow, or gold, and then red. So when we got our independence, Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah was so innovative. It's a joke. He just turned the Ethiopian flag upside down, right? Rotated it 180 degrees. And what happened? You have the red up, the gold in the middle, and the green down, and then he stamped it with the black star. And that's how Ghana flag was born. Right? Now, if you go around and you look at countries, particularly the West, 14 countries use red, gold, green. The shape might be different. What is in the middle is, but it's all from the inspiration of this country. This country. Right? So, when we talk about why we are one, it is because we are one. And we owe a lot, not only to Kwame Nkrumah, but we owe a lot to Haile Selassie for making sure, because don't forget that in terms of the League of Nations that gave birth to the UN, the United Nations, Ethiopia was a member when that meeting was held in San Francisco. Right? So I think, you see, it's just that we are in the times that Ethiopia may be going through struggles. But this country inspired a lot of African countries for their independence. And I think it needs to be told.
Absolutely.
So the two factions, I've gone in circles, but the Moravia and Casablanca came together and they formed the African unity. I'm told, I don't know for a fact, but I'm told that the charter, the Haile Selassie emperor, made sure that he got all the countries. There was a little bit of, challenges and all that, but he made sure he got everyone to sign the charter, the OAU. Organization of African Unity. So, you know, I mean, that is the story, you know.